This book was first published in 1959, long before real estate became a business of gurus and online courses. I first read it in the mid 70s. I was young, just starting to think seriously about investing, and this book had a profound impact on me. Not because it promised shortcuts, it didn't. It showed something different. It showed that an ordinary person, working steadily, could build real wealth over time, and that idea stuck with me. This is the book, How I Turned $1,000 into $3 Million in My Spare Time. The title grabs you, but the power wasn't the number, it was the process behind it. This book has been read and recommended by investors for more than a half a century, not because it promised excitement, but because it described a disciplined, repeatable way to build wealth slowly, and that's what made it so different. Here's the story in plain English. William Nickerson and his wife weren't wealthy. They worked regular jobs and saved $1,000. And with that, they bought a modest home and lived in it. They improved it. They learned how property worked. They increased its value. And then they traded up into a duplex. And from there, they kept repeating the process. Not quickly, not dramatically, but gradually over decades. That repetition compounded into real wealth. This is the economic world Nickerson lived in. If you look at inflation from the 1940s through the 60s, it was relatively moderate. It moved, but it didn't surge the way it would in the 70s. Lending was local. You worked with a banker you knew. Market cycles were slower. Information traveled slower. And there wasn't institutional capital competing for every property. It was quieter, a more relationship driven market. And that's the environment he learned and built in. Nickerson wasn't buying perfection, he was buying potential. He looked for properties that needed work, what I like to call juice. Maybe the rents were below market, maybe the units needed paint, flooring, or basic improvements. He would make targeted upgrades, not luxury renovations, just practical improvements that allowed him to raise the rents. And here's the key: when rents go up, value goes up, not because the market got excited, but because the income is increased. So let's step back. He raises the rent by $100 a month, and that increase creates about $9,600 in value. A portion of that value becomes accessible capital, and even after financing costs, he's still ahead each month. That's the engine. Improve the property, increase the income, and let the market multiply it. Nickerson could run a deal with nothing more than a few notes and a pencil. Today, that same math lives in a spreadsheet. You can test the rent increase before you raise it. You can model the refinance before you apply. And you can see the margins before you commit. The principle hasn't changed, the clarity has. You can download the same model and run your own deals. Simple, no hype. The fundamentals haven't changed. Discipline still wins. Buying below value still matters. Improving income still builds equity. What has changed is visibility. You can see rents instantly. You can model scenarios before signing. Feedback is faster. The principles are old, but the clarity is new. Nickerson didn't win because he was lucky. He won because he followed structure. He bought carefully. He improved deliberately. He repeated patiently. Today you can follow the same structure but with clearer visibility. You can test the numbers. You can see the risks. You can model the outcomes. This isn't about chasing a market. It's about building with intention. If you move deliberately, the math will do the heavy lifting. Nickerson proved it could be done. Today you can do it with clearer visibility. Start small, think long, see clearly. If you like the spreadsheet I use, there's a link in the description, and it's free.